I'd say most of it went over my head. Like, there's a lot of stuff, like, years later, kind of watching it. And before the sequel came up, I hadn't watched it in probably, like, 6 or 7 years. But, like, watching it as, like, a 15, 16-year-old even, it was like, okay, I started kind of cluing into a lot of the jokes that I didn't really get before. And, like, I was just, oh, people are laughing. It must be funny. It's kind of the first time I saw how I reacted, but I kind of started cluing in to, okay, this is actually a lot funnier than I originally thought it was, because just so many jokes that I wasn't understanding. But the funniest part for me whenever I was 8 doing this was just, I didn't really care about the swearing. I was kind of broken in by that point, because the real kind of hump to get over was doing the auditions and having to run lines with my parents, with my dad playing Billy's role and having him yell, you worthless piece of shit. So that was kind of the first hump to get over. But it wasn't even really a hump, because the first time the words came out of his mouth, I just couldn't stop laughing, because I knew it wasn't real. And I was like, what? This is ridiculous. Why are you saying this stuff? So one of the big concerns of people, like, did this destroy you? Did this ruin you, being a little boy, innocent little boy, being around all of this? It's like, no. It's like having my dad yell it at me for a couple nights in a row, getting ready for the audition, was where the damage was going to come. And I made it out of that okay, so bring on Billy Bob. He never really fully grew up. That was the one thing. It wasn't as going from, like, child to adult. It was more kind of child to man-child. So he's still kind of straddling that line in between, like, he hasn't fully grown up and he's still that kid that he used to be, but in a different kind of way. So it's about kind of not necessarily like replicating what it was from the first one, but keeping kind of the key points where you can see that he still hasn't really changed completely into a different person. It's great seeing Tony again. So it's just the first time the three of us were all together, you could kind of feel like, wow, we were all just kind of like, wow, this is really happening. So it's great to get back together with everyone that was involved in the first one. I'd say, because for being not really the deepest of characters, the Thurman is, I think he's more kind of the one that brings the depth out of other people. So it's not so much that he's like this really complex character, which there is definitely some kind of areas where you're like, okay, there's more than meets the eye with what he is. But it's more kind of he's the reason why the other characters can show kind of their softer sides or their worse sides in some of their other cases. The sandwiches are still there. That's seemingly his only hobby or passion, really, that we know of at least. But he's definitely followed through with that. The sandwiches are still his first love. Or I guess Willie would be his first love in a non-creepy way. And then sandwiches.
James Bond fans, did you know that Skyfall is the only Bond movie ever made by an Oscar-winning director? Now that's interesting. Want more movie facts? Click on more videos. Or for the latest trailers, click on the playlist.